Yesterday, Larry Fitzgerald passed Hall of Famer Tony Gonzalez for the second most catches in NFL history. Then later, Fitzy got some love from Jerry Rice, the only player in NFL history with more catches. See a cool moment for your guy Fitz?
Oh, absolutely. With the GOAT, Jerry himself, I'm announcing it today. Larry Fitzgerald, second greatest wide receiver to ever to play. He's got the second best resume of any wide receiver. If you look at offensive coordinators, head coaches, quarterbacks that he's played with, there's only one got a better resume to him as a wide receiver is Jerry Rice.
That's a hell of a proclamation. And I want to, if I may, can I flip it for a moment?
No.
Well, I'm going to, so I shouldn't have asked permission.
Why did you?
You've known Larry for over 20 years. When he was 14 years old,
yes,
you knew him, you were coaching him. When this man across from me retired, he was second in NFL history in catches, only to Jerry Rice. And now your protege, a man that you helped since he was in 9th grade, when he retires, he's going to be second in NFL history to Jerry Rice. That is an unbelievable legacy for him and for you, my friend. That is great.
He's got it better than me, though, because whatever
he's got doing, about 140 extra million.
Well, yeah, that. Then I guarantee his next partner's not going to be right. Now, Jenna, he's not going to be able to do better than you, Jenna, but this dude.
So much. Let's just stay on that point.
Fitzy, by the way, 240-ish catches away from Jerry. The rest of this year, hang on for 2 more.
If the Bidwells give him $10 million for 3 each year, he'll be out there.
He could
dreadlocks and all.
Stories to start your morning, sponsored by Gillette Clear Gel. Saints hosted the Cowboys last night, and that New Orleans defense came to play, keeping Dak out of the end zone, holding Zeke to just 35 rushing yards. Saints win 12-10. CC, how did New Orleans shut down Dallas?
You got to give their defense a lot of credit. Dennis Allen Jr. and that defense, their pass coverage. Amari Cooper, no space, no ability after the catch for them to be able to make plays. And Nick, you made a great point earlier. Up until a few seconds ago in the game, they only had one play of over 25 yards.
Yep.
And that was the pass play to Jarwin earlier. So you got to give New Orleans and that defense a tremendous amount of credit. Great team effort there.
It's a great win for New Orleans. And when we saw that Breeze was out for 6 weeks, and we were saying, could they find 3 wins? We thought their 2 hardest games were the first 2. At Seattle, home for Dallas. Their next 4, it's Tampa, Jacksonville, Chicago on a backup quarterback who might be better, and Arizona. All of a sudden, 3 wins is not only realistic, 4, maybe 5 without Drew Brees because you start out these 2 games. Great win for New Orleans. It's a huge win for them in the NFC South.
Don't count Tampa out. Off a big weekend. Bears defense also had a big day Sunday, sacking Kirk Cousins and the Vikings 6 times and forcing 2 fumbles. Bad news, though, Mitch Trubisky had to leave with a shoulder injury. Nick, how did the Bears look in their 16-6 win over the Vikings?
I don't mean to be rude, but while that's bad news for Mitch, I don't know if it's bad news for the Bears. The Bears for 2 years have been a quarterback injury away from being a Super Bowl contender. The quarterback injury happened. Chase Daniel came in and was better. The Vikings are a mess offensively. That Bears defense is unbelievable at every single level, and if they get just competent quarterback play, they can beat anybody.
Yeah, and you got to give Coach Pagano, he's the defensive coordinator of the Bears, because they had a number of frontline players. Hakeem Hicks was out. The linebacker was out, a late scratch before the game, and they dominated the middle of that field. Vikings had no chance. The worst thing we could do was injure the quarterback. When we injured Trubisky, the whole rest of the league is all mad at us now because the only way you got a chance against the Bears in that defense is with Trubisky at the quarterback. Chase Daniel, I hope that he's able to do what your guy was able to do.
Case?
Remember Case?
I remember
a couple years ago with the Vikings, leading them deep into the playoffs. So the Bears might have been blessed with the injury to Trubisky. Got Oakland over in London. It's going to get bloody over there, man.
Good news.
Is that your accent?
Well, I was getting ready to say some stuff, but it's a little early.
On to the Raiders in the Colts game, and yet another black mark for Raiders linebacker Vontaze Bufrict. Bufrict was ejected for the helmet-to-helmet hit on Jack Doyle. The tight end was okay, did finish the game. But, Nick, you expect Bufrict to be suspended?
Absolutely. And this is the only player, that you or I have ever said doesn't need to play football anymore due to what he does on the football field. Last year when this came up, we talked about whether or not it was appropriate to suspend him for more than a year, to indefinitely suspend him. I don't think he can help himself, and he makes the game more dangerous than it needs to be.
The only thing I disagree with you, Nick, is you saying the part thinking he can't help himself. When you play middle linebacker as long as you've played, and a lot of people say that he's a brilliant football player as far as X's and O's, you don't target people as consistent as he has and be a middle linebacker. You know where you're hitting people. You know exactly where you're hitting people. So he knows exactly what he's doing. He could help himself. He chooses not to. Remember DJ Swearinger? We had all those problems with him with the league office. Seems like he's changed this game. All the other players, Jenna, have changed. 1,600 of them have changed how they're going to hit. He has not changed. The only thing that they listen to is a suspension. He should spend. This should be the longest suspension we've ever had for a player that targets another player on the field. Yes.
All right, moving on to the Rams and the Bucs, and a lot of people out of survivor pools after this one this weekend. A little deeper, a little harder.
Twist.
Day to forget for Jared Goff, finished with 3 interceptions, coughed up a fumble that was picked up by former Ram and Ndamukong Suh for a touchdown. Rams suffer their first loss of the season, falling to the Bucs 55-40. In the process, Nick suffers a tough one. He's out of his survivor pool.
Thanks, Jenna.
Insane. Hey, see, what'd you make of Goff's performance yesterday?
Well, you know, to me, and this is what we should get used to. Not as far as Jared Goff, but Todd Gurley is not going to be 100%. All right? You're not going to. I don't think ever again. Oh. All right? I'd be totally shocked. Not unless he goes to Europe and does some regenerative tissues type something with his knee. No. When you have an arthritic knee and you're 25 years old, they put you on a pitch count in training camp where you're practicing every other day. That means there's a significant problem with that knee. And you could see in the game that this is a team without explosive Todd Gurley, but they're trying to run the same things. And when you don't have that influence of that run action, which leads to screens and to play action, Jared Goff, he's marginalized as a quarterback. Now, I know, man, people say, oh, McVay, he's a genius and everything. You can only do so much hocus and pocus, all right? The league is starting to catch up. Yep. They start to recognize their sets. And yesterday was a good example because that defense is going to give up some big plays. They're going to have some games where they give up a bunch of points. And we saw that last year with the Rams, and now we're seeing again this year. Now, yesterday to me was the first sign that the Rams that's a Super Bowl hangover right there. When you lose at home to a Tampa Bay team that's coming off an awful loss last week where they miss a couple extra points and a short field goal to win the game, they fly to L.A. and do that to you, this is something to watch with the Rams because I believe that Nick, you had them making the playoffs.
No,
you had Seattle.
I had Seattle winning the division. I had the Rams out for a lot of reasons that were seen.
And the things that you're saying, particularly, we're getting ready to see, man, they're going to be true. That was a tough loss yesterday to the Buccaneers.
You've been on the Gurley thing ever since we heard the news of the arthritic knee. 5 carries for Todd Gurley. 5 carries, and I understand they were out of it early, but it seemed like they were out of it early. It's 21-0, but then it was 21-14. This was a 1 or 1.5 score game, if you will. A lot of the second, third, and fourth quarters, they could have run the ball, except they couldn't run the ball because Todd Gurley's not the same guy. I'm going to focus on Jared Goff because I thought they weren't going to give him that contract extension. I wouldn't have given him that contract extension. Next year, Jared Goff has the biggest cap hit of any player in football, and right now, Jared Goff is one of the, statistically, the 5 worst starting quarterbacks in football. Nobody has more interceptions on the season. He has 6 touchdowns to 7 turnovers. He's 27th in passer rating. And what we are seeing is a perfect storm of a quarterback coming back down to earth. You have Belichick giving the whole league the blueprint. You have the rest of the league also independently catching up to Sean McVay. You have Todd Gurley not being the same guy anymore, and you have Jared Goff, who's probably playing a little over his skis the last couple of seasons. I think the Rams are potentially in big trouble this year and moving forward. You have the highest paid quarterback and running back, and the running back is damaged goods, and the quarterback there were questions about beforehand. I think the Rams, I know they're 3-1, and I know they were undefeated, and I know they scored 40 points. Goff was awful in this game, and he's yet to be great in any game this season.
And that's a defense in Tampa Bay that Danny Dimes. picked apart last week in his first start. So what you're saying is magnified by, wow, look what that defense last week was not able to do against the rookie in his first start. Now getting that big win in Los Angeles. This is something that we should watch.
All right, let's move